Death on the Nile. Death on the Nile stars and is directed by Kenneth Branagh as Detective Hercule Poirot, who happens upon a newlywed couple, Lynette, played by Gal Gadot, and Simon, played by Armie Hammer. Lynette is a very wealthy woman who's made plenty of enemies in her day, including those who are attending her honeymoon. Lynette feels really unsettled about the whole situation and asks Poirot to keep an eye out for anything suspicious. However, when one of the attendees is murdered, Poirot is called to pick up the pieces and solve the murder. And we have our movie. Honestly, I really wanted to like Death on the Nile a lot more, but it just doesn't transcend past typical. It's a typical murder mystery that you've likely seen before and just doesn't do anything to elevate the genre as a whole. One can't help but feel intrigued by Hercule Poirot as it goes throughout his murder mystery tactics and takes you on a fun ride to go through those sorts of cadences. It's a fun journey to solve this murder, but aside from that and also solid acting performances and good cinematic choices, there wasn't really a whole lot to love in this movie, because really it's dragged largely down by poor pacing, lack of really great characters, and also the absence of novelty. Starting off with what I really enjoyed about this movie. The murder mystery elements are fun. The movie does build up to a peak where it starts to finally explore a murder. We get to see Poirot get to show off his work and his skills by interrogating each of these suspects, gathering clues, and just starting to piece together what really happened. Death on the Nile finds a good rhythm within that, sticks with it, and it really makes it a fun ride for the time that he's exploring these ideas, because it also helps in allowing us as the audience to follow along and understand what's going on. Within each of the interrogations he conducts, the movie provides ample opportunities to not only get to know him, but also the other suspects and why they might want to hurt the victim. Between those opportunities and the steady cadence that the movie provides within that, it allows you to draw your own conclusions and try to guess who the murderer actually is. I found myself trying to piece together the clues and try to figure out who it was, and I actually found a really hard time trying to figure out who it was. But that's kind of the point. If it was too easy, the movie wouldn't exactly be entertaining. Also, the combination of solid acting and really strong cinematic choices elevate Death on the Nile. There are plenty of one-on-one conversations that happen between Detective Poirot and also the guests, and each of these conversations is intricately put together and conducted in a way that kind of keeps the movie refreshing. Whether it was a change in camera movement, whether it was a panning camera shot, whether it was a change in lighting, whether it was zooming in on the actors' faces, it really made each interrogation feel special, and it felt and unique to the circumstances at hand, and it just allowed you to view the movie and each character in a different lens. And to boot, almost all of these conversations were elevated by the strong, solid acting performances of each cast member. Between the intricacies of each conversation, you truly feel drawn in by not only the intensity of the dialogue, but also the delivery of it. For example, when the camera zooming in closer and closer on each actor as they're delivering their dialogue, the intensity of the dialogue and the zooming in of the camera are both in line with each other, and it just keeps elevating the stakes, it elevates the tension, and it really makes for a great climax in conversation and makes you excited for how that's going to resolve. Now, what did I not like so much about this movie? Death on the Nile suffers from really poor pacing. The first half of the film is very much slow build-up, with the second half being a much needed improvement. And the build-up takes a very significant portion of the runtime to the point where I was begging for something significant to happen. We just get a way too lengthy introduction to the circumstances of the film and also these characters, which aren't the most interesting. And within that, it takes away time from the more interesting aspects of the movie, including the fun murder mystery elements at play. If the movie just cut 30 minutes from the first half, I think it would have improved the experience, because we would have got a much bigger chunk of the runtime being dedicated to the most fun parts of the film. Having said that, the exception of that first half, the opening scene, this movie has a very strong opening scene that I really enjoyed. And also, there's very little novelty to be found in this movie. This can be applied from both a character and also a plot perspective. Aside from the detective, the remaining characters of the film aren't the most likable, which makes it really hard to actually care about the murder itself. There are some exceptions, but most of the characters come across as whiny, entitled, impatient, which kind of fits the mold of a typical murder mystery. You have a lot of suspects which aren't the most likable and all could be the killers, but it doesn't exactly help you empathize with any of them. Additionally, the plot in and of itself is entertaining, but it just doesn't provide anything new to elevate the genre. We have a detective, we have suspects, we have a victim, and we have a murderer. The detective is called upon to solve the murder. He investigates, he gathers clues, he interrogates, and he tries to solve said murder. It's a very formulaic approach that the movie does execute well enough, but just doesn't transcend past anything typical. It was a very whelming experience. So friends, at the end of the day, I'm going to say Death on the Nile is a 6 out of 10. It was okay and worth a watch in theaters. Friends, have you seen Death on the Nile? If so, what'd you think of it? You know where the comment section is. Let me know. Thanks so much for watching another Bankrupt Hippo movie review. If you like this, click right here if you'd like to see more. I've been Bryson. Until next time, have a great day.